Once again, good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. You're listening to the program You and I on PSA, exclusively on the Street 91.9 FM, and it's hosted by the Public Services Association. We are here Mondays to Fridays, and from 9 a.m., 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. I am Christopher Joe Field, First Vice President. With me today is Sister Dawn Garcia.
Pleasant good morning to all our listeners.
And of course, our Second Vice President, he's on his way. All things being equal, he'll be here in a flash. And of course, behind the console is Comrade Bruce Wayne. We thank you for being with us today again, Comrade. We want to say good morning to the President, Mr. Watson Duke. We want to say a pleasant morning to the General Counsel, the hard-working staff of the PSA, all public officers who are tuned in, and who are our PSA members, General Counsel, and the Joint Consultative Committee staff side representatives. Good morning to all. Remember, the program is interactive, and it is aimed at highlighting the concerns of public officers, aimed at restoring the respect and the status of the public service, and to halt, slow down, or even reverse the systematic dismantling of the public service that is currently taking place.
And we remind you, this is an interactive program, and we would welcome your calls with your contributions. And the numbers to call are 622-9154, 622-3303, 631-0219, 639-0791. Additionally, you can contact us via our Facebook page, PSA Trinidad, or you can email us at psa.tnt@gmail.com.
Thank you. And whether we like it or not, we have to take this approach, ladies and gentlemen, Trinidad and Tobago, to bring to the attention of the listening public what is facing the public service today. What is the state of the public service today? And it is not a very positive one. Public service, public servants are there for one purpose, and that is to ensure that the citizenry benefits in an efficient and an effective manner for the services that are provided, so that the lives of the civil servant, of the lives of the citizenry, can be kept comfortable. And we are seeing that the public service is being manipulated by those who seem to have their own agenda, which is not in the interest of Trinidad and Tobago. It is not in the interest of Trinidad and Tobago. So you have policymakers jumping in and interfering, I dare to say, communicating directly with public officers when the regulations, rules of the Service Commission makes it clear, or the Civil Service Act establishes the permanent secretaries there to make sure that that doesn't happen. Permanent secretaries are there as the buffer between the policymakers and the staff of the various ministries. And it is a sad thing to see the demise of the public service, but we are here to put up a resistance today, going forward, with the aim of causing that to change for the better. We have seen the demise of, or I should say the downgrade of Trinidad and Tobago by Moody's and Standard & Poor's. And that is a dangerous thing for Trinidad and Tobago. It now means that the public service has to do a lot more to ensure that whatever policies that are in place to lift our standards and our GDP, that it is done in a much more aggressive manner. And who do you use? The public servants. And when you have this idea that you want to modify the public service and upgrade it, but you have no desire, none whatsoever, to follow the act and ensure that the jobs are reclassified to keep pace with the demands of this changing conditions in the country, then we must come to the conclusion that there is a conspiracy to destroy this public service. When we can see the service commissions being underfunded, understaffed, when we can see training and what you would call senior staff being overloaded because they don't have the right or the full amount of staff to be able to perform these functions, you know that they are trying to destroy the public service. When you see vacancies being left unfilled for extended periods and being replaced with contract work and OJTs, you know that they want to destroy the public service. There is an agenda here that is not in the interest of the citizens of this country. So we have to be vigilant and we have to lend our voice to it. And for that, we are saying we are putting up a resistance.
Got to work it out. You know I'm putting up a resistance. I'm gonna work it out. Whoa, putting up a resistance. I'm gonna work it out now. Putting up a resistance now. I'm gonna work it out. Wanna stay home tonight.
The regulations is clear. Any instructions to come to a public officer must come through a permanent secretary. And that is established in order to ensure that there is no opportunity by the policy makers to unduly manipulate public servants. But we are hearing that when a public officer in doing his or her duty queries as part of procedure, queries who a particular individual would have gone to see on a particular day, which is a minister I'm referring to here, and that individual, that officer at the desk inquires, what is your business? Because security is a very serious responsibility. And that individual is told who is asking that. And then being directed by the minister that he has no business in asking the person what they come here for, tells us that we reach. But we are reach because the regulations is clear. Any instructions have to go to any public officer, must come through their permanent secretary down the line, and therefore the instruction will go through whoever the direct supervisor is.
But it's critical for public officers to remain apolitical. Your political affiliations must remain private, but on the execution of your duties, you would do what you are responsible to do. And in so doing, politicians should not intervene. And therein lies part of the problem. When a politician intervenes, an officer cannot do his duties. And that gave rise to a very serious situation at the Ministry of Education.
Yes, comrade, and good morning, folks. A little late this morning, but when you have public officers calling you 10 o'clock in the night and as early as 6 o'clock in the morning because they feel they're being abused, right, by a political or by some sort of political instructions, right, and when you do the research, you just come up with a whole set of mischief, and where you have politicians getting directly involved in the human resource issues in ministries, in this case the Ministry of Education, which is led by a minister who I am sure knows better because he was the president one time of a trade union.
Well, I heard that an individual had an appointment of some kind and went upstairs to see somebody. Tell us the facts.
The information coming to the PSA, right, is that estate constables in the line of their duty to protect the entire ministry, especially the head, who is the minister, would have asked a simple question when someone answered the phone on the minister's floor and says, send the person up. A simple question was asked, who is giving the directive to send the person up? So that the person can take a note in case anything, you must want to know who gave the instruction to come up. And what I hear transpired after that is that the minister gets on the phone, calls the
security officer,
estate constable, and tells the verbally abuse the officer, tell him where to get off, and I am the minister, and when I give a directive here, it must be followed, and rah, rah, rah. Come on.
But you know what is the sinful thing about all of this? The permanent secretary did not stand and protect the public officer.
In the breach. No. What the permanent secretary does in this case, right, is to write a letter to the two officers. Mind you, one of these officers have been stationed at the ministry for 18 years. So this has nothing to do with politics. Doing the work 18 years, an experienced officer, one of the most senior officers on the cadre at the Ministry of Education with regards to estate constables, right? And telling them that they must report for duty at some place called UNESCO.
Where is that? Where is UNESCO in relation to the established positions that public officers, estate constables operate from?
Well, I went through the estimates of expenditure for 2016. Draft estimates of expenditure for the financial year 2016. And I searched through the whole head for Ministry of Education, and I couldn't find UNESCO.
That is equivalent to Siberia. So that minister just decided, through that permanent secretary, to banish that security officer to someplace in Siberia.
So the minister has authority to discipline public servants because that is what in truth and in fact it is.
Yeah.
Without any sort of investigation, they would have penalized these two officers, or at least they are attempting to.
Victimize them.
But I had to dig deeper. So I say UNESCO had to be somewhere.
Yeah.
Lo and behold, in the revenue of expenditure of statutory boards and similar bodies, right, and of the Tobago House of Assembly for the financial year 2016, I go on to board 13, Trinidad and Tobago National Commission for UNESCO. Details of establishment 2016. Right? You know what I have? Daily paid labor force and 1 part-time cleaner. That's it for staff.
All. That is why I've said to you, they have banished the
To non-existent positions.
to non-existent positions.
Frustrating.
Siberia.
This is a civil servant we're talking about, folks. Somebody who's supposed to be free from interference from the political directorate. I vexed this morning, you know, Comrade Joe.
And that is the kind of thing we've been talking about when I say that the service commissions were established to ensure that that kind of meddling and direct influence doesn't take place in the public service. But we have gone.
And that behavior will impact on the performance of staff in general. Because if you know by doing your duty, the minister is going to abuse you and banish you into some exile, then you would be afraid to do your duty. And the public doesn't understand that. The public simply sees a public officer who is hesitant to do what he's supposed to do, not knowing the background here that a politician is intervening in the performance of your duties.
Well, in my 35 years of public service, right, I have never seen this kind of thing.
The system is breaking down.
And I did some investigation, Comrade Joe. My information is that there was a cadre of public servants, these are state constables, to guard and protect the property of the Ministry of Education, that the head office, right? And you know what is this take place? I don't know exactly when it happened, but we had to go back and find it. Some permanent secretary or somebody, well, looking like it could be a minister now, right? Dispatch these officers all over the place, into little sub-offices all over the place, right? And then hire a private security firm to do the security work in the ministry.
I tell you,
now tell me, and we want to save money in this country,
That is the kind of mischief that is taking
such an
place.
arrangement.
Yeah, because they see the public service as a cash cow that private sector can get their hands into and get their fingers on the public purse in an indirect manner.
But all that is consistent with the dismantling of the public service.
Exactly.
So they would banish these estate constables who have been performing their duties to put private security to justify that here where the private security are performing better than the public officers.
This country is falling apart. This public service is falling apart.
These officers are precepted. They're police, you know. You public out here know these police officers. They just wear khaki. They don't wear the ordinary police uniform. They just wear khaki. And they're supposed to carry firearms. I understand that the Ministry of Education is supposed to have a cache of firearms there that these officers are supposed to use and carry out their duties. What we understanding is that they have them as well doing receptionist work.
Yeah. Where is the receptionist? They don't have any receptionist anymore. They have now merged the jobs. And where is this? They're
doing what they want.
The service commission and all of this.
But it had to stop, and it go stop today.
Where is the service commission in all of this?
But they have surrendered all their responsibilities to the PSs.
Well, I don't know that transfer of an officer, right, is one of the delegated authorities to any permanent secretary. So what they're doing in these letters is using the word reassign,
yes,
right? But when I go through the Civil Service Act, the Civil Service Act states clearly, right? And I want to read for you. Transfer means the movement of an officer.
The movement
What
does transfer mean?
the movement of an officer, A, from an office in one division of a ministry to an office in another division. So if a ministry have 2 divisions, 3 divisions, 4 divisions, and you want to transfer that officer, it means from one division to the next, it means you're transferring the officer. You're not reassigning them. This is the law I'm reading from. B, from an office in one ministry to an office in another. C, from an office in one department to an office in another department. Or D, from an office in a department to an office in a ministry, or vice versa.
But comrade, what is also interesting is, I am not sure there is the word reassignment anywhere
Nowhere here.
in the civil service
It means the
regulations.
movement of an officer. People want to take
The term used is transfer.
Service. They want to take the laws of this country and interpret them how they feel like.
And when these things,
And we dealing with Ministry of Education, eh? People who supposed to have education, they say hard to read.
but a permanent secretary is supposed to be a fairly educated person. I mean, I cry shame on that individual for doing a correspondence like that without any reference to the regulations. And that is only to placate the minister who probably feels he has the power to interfere with the public officer.
But I really don't know what is going on, you know. I expect better from we leaders,
We expect better.
right? And this destruction of the public service, right? It ain't going nowhere. If we really want to come out of this mess that this country in right now, we need to fix it, you know.
The numbers to call is 622-9154, 622-3303, 631-0219, and in Tobago, 639-0791. Those numbers again, 622-9154, 622-3303, 631-0219, and 639-0791. They want to dismantle this public service, and we are not going to stand for it. Make it constructive. Good morning. We have a caller.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Paul.
Good morning. I would like you to just say again or quote the regulations that you just mentioned as one. And the second thing is, what is PSA going to do about that situation? Thank you.
What the PSA is going to do is to advise the officer not to take up the transfer. That is what we will take. We will advise them. That is one. And two,
We will write the permanent secretary and the service commission department to make sure, right? And under that rule, which is in the Public Service Commission regulations, right? We're dealing with Section 30 of the Public Service Commission regulations, where there's a proposed transfer of an officer, where it says where the order of transfer involves the exchange of an officer in an office in a grade to another office in the same grade, the officer shall not assume his duties on transfer pending the review of the order by the commission.
the Service Commission has to review that order because the permanent secretary is out on a frolic of her own. She has gone off on a frolic of her own simply to say yes to the minister that he can move that public officer. We will not stand for that because it is contrary to the regulations.
And the permanent secretary ought to be holding that line between the political directorate and the public service. If you have your policies, you want them implemented, you give the instructions to the permanent secretary will make sure the policies of the current government or administration, whoever is in power, is carried out within the rules of the public service.
Yeah, but when one realizes that there is a corruption of the regulations to suit the personal interest of one of the policy makers, and it is done with the full knowledge of that particular permanent secretary, they should retire that permanent secretary.
And for what? Because I asked, who give the instructions to send a stranger up to the minister's floor, which is the highest security floor,
but
not even staff allowed to go up there when they want.
God forbid, had some other negative thing happened.
You'd hear a different story.
How that person get upstairs, what system they had in place, who was the officer, what was he doing, blah, blah, blah. Here it is, he made a legitimate query, and it is alleged that the minister called him and buffed him all over the place and then seek to transfer him to another place. And that is contrary to the regulations.
But for the public officers that listening out there, and for the benefit of the last caller, right? Because some of these things, some of the officers don't know, and they should pick up the Civil Service Act and the regulations and read it, right? In the beginning of the act, where they have the meanings of certain words and phrases, definitions of these things, right? The beginning of the act, right, which would be section 2, right? Under T, we have transfer. And it means the movement of an officer. Because I tell you, this reassignment thing is not just in education, it happens all over the place.
Around the public service.
Right? Transfer means the movement of an officer. A, from an office in one division of a ministry to an office in another division. B, from an office in one ministry to an office in another. C, from an office in one department to an office in another department. Or D, from an office in a department to an office in a ministry or vice versa. And this is so because the framers of the legislation envisage the mischief.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. If I know what you are wrong as a public officer, I could take you and send you anywhere I want.
Exactly.
Right? To get you out of the way and get people who I want to do what I want.
And that is the kind of mischief the law seeks to prevent from happening.
And protect.
But comrades, this is even more interesting because if I understand Comrade Murray, is that to the UNESCO where they are being transferred to, there are no positions on the establishment for estate constables. So where are they going?
It's a place in Siberia. It does not exist.
There are nothing there.
It does not exist.
You can only transfer somebody from an office to another office. You can't transfer them to nowhere.
Exactly.
What it says means the movement of an officer, right? And we're talking about an officer with 18 years at the head office in the Ministry of Education, 18 years unblemished service, right? And you just ups one Monday morning and tell them report somewhere else.
These people are telling you.
If the minister gets up tomorrow morning and he doesn't like the way I am looking, he could send me he or her.
But that is the reason why they want to have contract workers inside there.
Manipulate them and have them do their bidding.
And that could go further. That can go further as it relates to accommodating other interests and doing things that are contrary to the interest of the citizenry of this country in the long run.
There's great wisdom in the legislation, and now more and more so we see that now, that the framers of these pieces of legislation understood the need to do it.
Yeah.
And I want to read the letter. I ain't calling no name, but this is the letter. I refer to my letter.
And the letter is from whom?
I ain't calling no name.
No.
Right? But it's from the permanent secretary. I refer to my letter to you dated 21st of April 2017, wherein you were reassigned to duty at the United Nations Education, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, with effect from the 24th of April 2017. So on the 21st, you tell somebody report somewhere else on the 24th. 3 days, right? I also note representation made on your behalf by, and this,
And they call it his name.
They call 2 names of the Joint Consultative Committee. Now this is a committee set up under Circular Number 1 in 1973 to deal with grievances and things, yeah?
Yes.
Right? And
Of which the permanent secretary is the chair.
And your reluctance to assume duties at the UNESCO as directed. Please note that a decision has been taken to engage the services of customer service representatives, CSRs, to perform the duties which you presently perform, but for which you have no formal training. Now tell me, these is estate constables. What the hell they was doing CSR work in the first place, and you're admitting this in the letter?
Yes.
Right? You're admitting this in the letter.
And that,
but you want here what you want to do, right? In addition, it is recognized that security service and certain ministry outstations are inadequate. Hence, your above-mentioned reassignment. So for 18 years, right?
For 18 years, you have been performing receptionist duties.
So
Receptionist duties, and the minute you decide to query it...
We have a caller.
Good morning.
Hey, morning. Call last week on your program. I listened to your program today again. No, I listened to it, which is interesting, and I understand your plight here, right? And my view on this, because I was thinking about it recently, where to another thing, strategy, where I realized you all have a little task on the hand, because I recognize the government, especially, they're doing some kind of thinking where by the person who is the labor minister, right? Now, I mean, she was used to fight for the cause that you're all fighting for now. No, I recognize that the show on the other foot where I see that a total difference, a whole 360.
You understand?
Right?
I say you understand the thing.
Then the thing about it is where all the problem will lie now, because she knows.
You are a thinker.
The situation inside, so that they get a proper strategy to deal with all that, where to get all that will be a lot easier for them, because they understand the situation. Because if she was the person fighting you, which means she has a lot of information.
Exactly.
So now she come a serious weapon against all them.
No, but she hoping we do have the information too. But we ain't get here by guess.
But
That's
my
right.
thing is, what I think you all should do, and this is just my thinking, because you see too, you have to win the how to put it, the
hearts
public
of
as
the
well
public.
too, because as I was saying here last week, the public still disgruntled with the workers, and they would have a lot of disagreements, right? And seeing as you're a public servant, because I just like to listen to doing. I used to work for a private facility, and what they used to do, they used to like. I don't know if you all recommend that, or if it have it any public service. Although I mean, or not all the public servants are contracted now, and the situation. But to let the workers know where is how to put it, what is the role as a officer? Because when I was working in a company, what they do, they send us for training, and we would have training whereby you would know. What is with a different type of customers, what is a customer, either internal and external customer, and all these kind of things, and what is your role as, what is your role basically as an individual working in a company, a place? If you understand what I'm trying to tell you.
Yes, we understand you.
So that when you go out there to do your job now, you would understand what is your purpose, firstly, so that you would know what you should do and what you should not do, so that when these things happen, you would have a fear, understand, and you have a, how to put it. Because to me, I go to some of these places, and the reality is, the people who serving the customers and things not understand the place as or what they're supposed to do, and the attitude that is reflected is when some people listen to this program and they say, "Boy, there's people fighting for a cause, yes, but the people who in behind the counter are not doing the duty."
All right.
So I don't know. Eh?
I say, all right, well,
Yes.
thanks a
You,
lot, and I will respond. You could listen off here. And we have said on countless occasions, right? Now, we hear this word CSR,
Yeah.
right? That is not a post in the public service.
Oh, okay.
And I want the public to know that. CSR is not a post in the civil service. That is a contract position. So when you come in and you feel you're dealing with civil servants, the bunch of lazy people who don't do nothing, you dealing with a contract worker who they put in front there with no training, right? And as the old saying goes, Barracuda make a name and shark get the blame.
I'm glad you're all here to clear it up, because see, I mean, a lot of people have the same concept that I had. But you see, we're going to understand, you see, that I mentioned before, with how this, I recognize what they're using against you and how the system is, because I know that when you understand and the people who are in charge understand the system, they know how to frustrate the system and how to keep people thinking, because the whole idea, concept of the situation is everything starts with that thought, and with that thought, and then the thing about it, the people who are in charge, who have the money, they have a different agenda to the actual agenda. So I know it's a lot of things to deal with. So I just listen on, and I'm glad for the little information that you all bringing to the public.
Okay,
Have a good day.
Yes,
there are two
thanks, sir.
Yes. Yeah, the CSRs are the people that you interface with firstly. And additionally, the training votes for most ministries have been reduced. And if we remember recently, before the Joint Select Committee, the Service Commission spoke about the severely reduced budget for training. So even for public officers, the training vote has been reduced, and the Public Service Academy is non-existent as we speak. So therefore, training is a serious issue.
And whether we like it or not, you see that the last leader of the Public Services Association, they would have caused a lot of inroads into the destruction of the public service, to the extent that for us to be able to try and clear that out now, it's a Herculean task. But what we have to do is to bring it to your attention so you all will understand what is happening. And we cannot take the line of least resistance in all of this. We have to stand up for a better public service and to demand that they be guided by the regulations and the standards that exist.
And if the cry out there by the public is that they're getting poor service, sometimes it have reasons behind the poor service. And we here now, because a public officer can't come and tell all you outright, can't speak out because that is against the law, and they could lose their job for that. We have had enough, because the area where we're supposed to pass all these grievances and things, meeting a brick wall down by the Minister of Finance and the Industrial Court for some reason, and public servants can't get the day of justice. So the association now have to do what we have to do and let the public know why all these things happening. Try to correct that perception out there.
But comrade, and I know that we have limited time, but you know, I want to also bring to the public's attention the situation that is occurring in not just the wider public service, but in state enterprises. That is, places that are funded by the state, that have the authority of the authority to act on behalf of the state, and managed by a board and reporting to a minister. And what we are seeing, and for example, you have the CDA. CDA has a board reporting to a minister. Look at NAMDEVCO. NAMDEVCO has a board which reports to a minister. And they are saying that they had some queries about the amount of money spent in a previous administration. And when they look at it, they need to now ask themselves, what is the strength of the numbers of staff in NAMDEVCO? So the board decides to do a manpower audit. They're going to do a manpower audit. And how does the staff hear about it? They hear about it by reading the newspaper. And when they look at it, they realize that in other areas where manpower audits were conducted, they would have closed down or sent home a number of the employees. So they have to now ask themselves, is this what is going to happen to us? And nobody is telling them anything. And you have a caller on the line. Caller, make it constructive. Thank you. Good morning.
Hi, morning.
Good morning.
In all my years in public, I have never seen a letter from a
We're not hearing you. I think you probably need to
speak up.
I say in all my years, you hear me better now?
Yes.
Right. In all my years in the public service, I have never seen a directive from a PS reassigning or transferring any officer, any public officer. The letter would always have, or supposed to always have, the heading of the Service Commission Department.
Always. Because that is the responsibility of the Service Commission.
That's right. And that letter that you read, that is madness. Total madness.
Well,
right?
I'm glad you.
And that is why we have advised the officer not to take up any movement away from the department.
That's right. Right? Because no PS could tell any public officer to go X, Y, or Z. That is wrong. Totally wrong.
I tell you, it's corruption of the very systems.
Thank you, caller.
Thank you, comrade. It is corruption. They are corrupting the very laws that are supposed to guide and keep citizens in check and to keep citizens honest. But it's only few people must comply with the law, while others break the law or manipulate the laws to suit themselves. Something is wrong with this country. And at the end of the day, we will not stand by idly by and watch Trinidad and Tobago descend into anarchy because of the mischief makers.
You are too... God, I don't want to say it, but you had two senior people who come out of the trade union movement at the level of presidents.
But
and there's nonsense going on.
But I was telling you about this NAMDEVCO thing. So they decided. So the workers wanted to know what is happening. What is happening with this manpower audit that they want to be doing inside of there, and how will it affect them? Nobody in the board, from the CEO, the chairman of the board, and all his minions, none of them are saying anything to the staff.
And again, Comrade Joe, is quotes they're reading in the newspaper from an announcement a minister make.
Yes, the minister come and say that they have to scale down because of some kind of money business.
But we will get the article and come and read it here for people.
Boy, I tell you, it is. But I don't know.
Every company they do a manpower audit with, they shut down. There's 5 of them, we still counting. But you see, this last one here, this UNESCO, we have a recognition certificate for that one.
NAMDEVCO.
But manpower audits are just a pretense.
But that is the front.
To send people home.
That is the front, and that is my point.
People wonder why public officers are frustrated and can't perform as they should.
No, I want people to understand something. They send home 72 workers in one organization. That is not just 72 workers they send home, you know. That is 72 families.
Exactly.
We don't know the partners and how much children mouth they have to feed, right? And you caring?
And then these same people have to pay property tax very soon.
But
it further complicates.
You are watching this country go on a slide down there in a direction that is not that is not in the interest of anyone besides the invisible few. And we are saying that we are not going to stand idly by. We are not going to stand idly by. We will let Dawn give her contribution regarding some good news, and then we are going to go to something else.
And as usual, I wish to inform you listeners that the PSA has a rooftop which has been renovated and it's available to members to host social events, from your company's get-together to your wonderful weddings. The rooftop is newly renovated and available for rent not only by members but also by the general public. You can call us at 625-5478 or 623-5472 to make your bookings or to schedule a site visit.
We have to be careful if it is that we don't continue to keep the focus on what is happening, the state of the public service, and the plans of those who want to get their hands on all the money that the state is able to dole out ostensibly to run some of the services around for the benefit of the citizenry, that it is not done and in a manner that benefits the few at the expense of the many. We have to be very, very careful. So we are saying that we'll be back here tomorrow, 8 to 9, you and I on PSA. Have a good day, and we will continue to put up a resistance.